You have probably heard the answer before. Mansa Musa, the African king so rich that according to legend, he gave away so much gold during a single journey that he disrupted entire economies. But here's the strange part. Some historians think he wasn't the richest person who ever lived. Others argue that title belongs to a Roman emperor, and some believe the question itself is impossible to answer, because the deeper you look into history, the less wealth looks like money, and the more it starts looking like power. Let's start with Mansa Musa. In the 14th century, he ruled the Mali Empire, one of the richest kingdoms on earth. At the time, Mali controlled enormous gold reserves. Gold wasn't just valuable, it was the foundation of global trade. Then, in 1324, Musa made a pilgrimage to Mecca. Thousands traveled with him. Servants, officials, soldiers, camels carrying gold. A lot of gold. As he passed through Cairo, he distributed it generously. The result was something almost unbelievable. The sudden increase in gold reduced its value and affected local markets for years. Think about that. Most wealthy people can influence a company. Some can influence a city. Mansa Musa influenced the value of money itself. Today, estimates often place his wealth at more than $400 billion. But there is a problem. Nobody actually knows. The records are incomplete. The numbers are estimates. And when you go far enough back in history, wealth becomes difficult to measure. Because what exactly are you measuring? Money, land, resources, power? That's where another candidate enters the story. Augustus Caesar, the first emperor of Rome. Unlike Mansa Musa, Augustus didn't simply possess wealth. He controlled an empire. At its height, Rome produced roughly a quarter of the world's economic output. A quarter. Imagine if one person today controlled a quarter of the entire global economy. Not one company, not one industry. The economy itself. Some historians estimate that Augustus personally controlled around 20% of Rome's wealth. If translated into modern terms, his fortune could reach into the trillions. Not billions. Trillions. But the money is only part of the story. Because Augustus could do something modern, billionaires cannot. He could create laws, raise armies, collect taxes, expand borders. His wealth and political power were fused together. He wasn't just rich. He was the system, and that's what makes comparing historical fortunes so difficult. Take someone like Genghis Khan. He ruled the largest contiguous land empire in history. Millions of square miles, countless cities, vast resources. Yet he wasn't known for hoarding personal wealth. Much of what was conquered was distributed among his followers. So was he poorer than Mansa Musa? Or richer because he controlled more territory than almost anyone who ever lived? History doesn't give us a clear answer. Now compare all of them to modern billionaires. Their fortunes are enormous, hundreds of billions of dollars, numbers so large that they barely feel real. But there is something important to remember. The modern world is much larger. A billionaire today may have more money than entire kingdoms from the past, yet they control a far smaller percentage of the world's wealth. Ancient rulers often possessed less money in absolute terms, but more power relative to the world around them, and that difference changes everything. So who was actually the richest person in history? The honest answer is that nobody knows, because wealth is not one thing. If wealth means gold, Mansa Musa has a strong claim. If wealth means economic control, Augustus may be impossible to beat. If wealth means command over resources and territory, figures like Genghis Khan enter the conversation. Each definition creates a different winner, and that's the twist. We assume wealth is a number, something that can be ranked, measured, compared. But history suggests something stranger. The richest person who ever lived may not have been the person with the most money. It may have been the person who controlled the greatest share of their world. And once you see wealth that way, the answer becomes much harder, because you're no longer asking who had the biggest fortune. You're asking who owned reality itself.